Hey, amazing fans! Welcome to another relaxing moment with VIVA'S Stories. Before we dive into the drama, don't forget to subscribe, smash that like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support means the world to us. Now, grab a seat, sit back, relax, and let's journey into the story together. The scorching Lagos sun beat down on the cracked tar as a battered Danfo bus screeched to a stop near the Ajagunal junction. Dust spun through the air like restless spirits, clinging to everything, including Zara Okoye's once pristine white sneakers. She stepped off the bus, her only luggage a faded brown leather bag and a small duffel slung over her shoulder. Her coat, too warm for this weather, hung loosely on her shoulders, telling stories of better climates and even better days. Her face, partially shaded by oversized sunglasses, was calm. But her eyes, if anyone looked closely enough, were filled with fire. The bus conductor, irritated that she'd taken too long to alight, spat beside her and muttered something crude in Yoruba about overfed returnees. Zara said nothing. All around her, Ajagunal pulsed with chaotic energy. Street vendors screamed out prices. Children dashed across roads. Generators hummed and coughed their diesel breath into the air. This was home. Years ago, she'd left this very neighborhood with a British investor's offer, a man's promise, and a head full of ambition. Now, she was back, broke, uninvited, but not broken. Zara turned slowly and walked the familiar road leading to the Okoye mansion. A house she helped pay for. A home that, despite its grand walls and painted gates, had never truly accepted her. She reached the gate and knocked, 3 times, firmly. For a moment, silence. Then the gate cracked open, revealing a pair of manicured fingers wrapped around the metal. And behind them, the face of Tasha Okoye, F's younger sister, proud, plastic, and painted in Instagram contour. Tasha's eyes widened with disbelief and immediate disgust. Zara. Hello to you too, Tasha, Zara said, adjusting her coat. Tasha blinked, laughing as if she'd just seen a walking meme. Wow. You look like the last scene in a Nollywood tragedy. Zara didn't flinch. I'm here to see Mama F. Tasha smirked. Mama doesn't talk to ghosts. Zara's voice lowered. Tell her Zara mentioned the name Oliviera. That did it. Tasha's smile faltered. Her hand dropped from the gate, and a beat later, the door creaked open. The Okoye compound hadn't changed. White walls, golden trimmings, oversized chandeliers. Everything still screamed of old money and new insecurities. Zara was led to the living room where Beatrice Okoye, better known as Mama F, descended the staircase with slow, deliberate grace. The matriarch looked exactly the same, her face stretched tight with pride and powdered foundation. She stopped mid-step when her eyes landed on Zara. I must be hallucinating, Mama F said coldly. No, ma. I'm very real, Zara replied, standing tall despite the sweat on her brow and the exhaustion in her bones. Mama F gave her the kind of once-over that made most people shrink. I heard you lost everything, she said. Your business. Your husband. Your dignity. I still have my name, Zara said quietly. Names mean nothing when your bank balance is 0. Tasha chimed in from the corner, her voice dripping with sarcasm. Maybe she came back for charity. Should we pass a hat? Zara turned toward her, smile thin. Actually, I came for something much more valuable. Mama F folded her arms. You're not staying here. I didn't ask to, Zara said, meeting her gaze without blinking. But I will stay the night. And I will speak to F. Tasha rolled her eyes. He's moved on, you know. He has a fiancée now. A real woman. Zara's voice dropped, ice-laced. That's wonderful. I hope he told her how he gutted our company and left me stranded in a foreign country. Mama F took a step closer. Whatever business you think you had with my son is over. You have no proof, no papers, nothing. Zara smiled just a little. We'll see. That night, in the guest room they'd begrudgingly given her, Zara sat cross-legged on the bed, staring at the walls. They hadn't changed much either, still sterile, still soulless. She unzipped her duffel and pulled out a worn laptop. Then she unclipped the brooch pinned to her coat collar. A discreet, expensive device, gifted by Dre years ago. Inside the brooch, a hidden lens. Motion activated. Audio and video. She plugged it in. Footage from the dinner table earlier flickered on her screen. Tasha's snide remarks, Mama F's cold dismissal, the tension when she mentioned Oliviera. But her thoughts drifted to 6 months ago. London. The cold wind on her cheeks as she stood outside her own business, a health and wellness center she co-founded, watching someone else change the locks. She remembered the sting of betrayal as her name was erased from contracts, bank accounts, and the future she built. F hadn't just left her. He'd erased her. The final night in her flat, alone, unpaid rent notices stacked on the kitchen table, she had sent Dre one final message. Let them think I'm finished. And with nothing but a single carry-on bag and a ticking anger in her gut, she boarded a one-way flight back to Nigeria. The next evening, they held a small family dinner to formally acknowledge Zara's return. It was less about courtesy and more about posturing. Zara walked in wearing a vintage dress, one of the few designer pieces she managed to keep, and her ever-present brooch. F sat at the head of the table, his trademark arrogant smile intact. Beside him, his new fiancée, Imani, glowing and oblivious. F raised his glass. To unexpected guests. Everyone chuckled except Zara. So, Imani said, her voice silky, you're the infamous Zara. I've heard so much. I'm sure, Zara replied, her voice velvet and sharp. Let me know if you want the full story. I still have the receipts. Tasha choked on her champagne. Mama F cleared her throat. F is doing well now. The past is behind us. Zara didn't flinch. Funny. I was told the past always catches up. The room fell quiet. She sat through the rest of the meal, sipping slowly, letting them gloat, letting them underestimate her. And all the while, the brooch blinked softly, recording every word, every insult, every slip. The morning after, Zara walked to the local cemetery. She hadn't told anyone where she was going. She stopped at the weathered grave that read, Esther's mother. Warrior. Forgotten. Her mother's grave. The only place she still felt completely herself. I'm here, Mama, she whispered. I failed. But I'm not finished. I'll make them regret what they did to us. As the wind rustled the trees, a voice broke the silence. You always talk to stones, or is today special? Zara turned. A tall, wiry teenager stood nearby, leaning on a crutch. His clothes were dusty, but his eyes were bright. Mischievous. Who are you? She asked, guarded. Chike, he replied. I saw you walk in. You're the returnee they're all whispering about. Zara raised an eyebrow. He nodded. You left rich. Came back broke. People are calling you mad. I think you're just dangerous. She tilted her head. Why do you say that? Chike grinned. Because you walk like someone who came back for blood. Zara smiled. And if I did? Then I want in, Chike said simply. I know every corner of this neighborhood. Every gossip. Every dirty business. Zara looked at him for a long moment. Maybe fate had just handed her a soldier. Fine, she said. But I don't trust easily. Chike shrugged. I don't blame you. Trust is a poor man's gamble. Together, they turned and walked back toward the neighborhood, a slow, deliberate march into war. The early morning sun filtered through the cracked windows of Zara's old apartment, long forgotten, now buried beneath dust and disrepair at the edge of the Okoye compound. She'd asked Chike about it, and he'd guided her back like a local thief. No one's touched this place in years, he said, unscrewing the rusted padlock with a key he'd swiped from the estate's groundskeeper. The room inside was almost a tomb. Time hung heavy in the air, old curtains, water-stained walls, scattered childhood photos that escaped notice during her forced exile. Zara stepped inside and didn't breathe. There was her old dresser, her worn desk, and, just as she remembered, her mother's framed pictures still nailed above the bed. She crossed to the far wall and pulled back a loose floor tile. Inside was a weatherproof pouch. Within it, a flash drive, still intact, and a bundle of old documents tied with twine. Zara sat on the floor, breath shaky. Her fingers trembled as she flipped through the papers. Loan agreements. Company formation records. Her original share agreement with F. But the flash drive, that was what mattered most. Later that night, back in her guest room, she plugged it into her laptop. The folders loaded slowly. Password-protected files. Financial reports. Shell companies. Foreign transfers. All of it. F hadn't just stolen her company. He'd buried the evidence under 1,000 layers of fake LLCs and ghost accounts. But Zara had kept the map. And now, the treasure hunt was back on. It was nearly midnight when she finally messaged him. The one person who'd stayed silent but loyal throughout her collapse. The one who always said, "Never burn a bridge, just booby-trap it." She sent him a secure file and a single line. "You were right. It was always F. Begin extraction." His response came 5 minutes later. "Already logged in. Give me 48 hours. Zara smiled. The next day, while Mama F left for her weekly women's fellowship and Tasha took selfies by the pool, Zara locked herself in her room. Her laptop buzzed. Dre had cracked the flash drive's encryption and traced one of the companies, Newbridge Ventures, an offshoot linked to F's new business empire. Inside the logs, recurring payments to an anonymous account in Dubai. The signature? Zara's forged. Dre called via voice. "You're sitting on dynamite, Z. This stuff could blow him and half his board to pieces. I'm counting on it." And there's more. He used your old brand name, Zaravita, on one of the new subsidiaries. Zara's heart thudded. That's trademark theft. And wire fraud. I've got a spider on his systems now. Give me a few days. But Z. Yes. This guy didn't just cheat you. He erased you. And people helped him. I know. And you're planning something dangerous, aren't you? Zara stared at her reflection in the mirror, tired eyes, but no longer afraid. Yes. By the end of that week, the rumors had reached boiling point. Mama F told the staff to watch Zara closely. She warned the neighbors that Zara might be mentally unstable. She told her church group that Zara wasn't right in the head after her divorce. At first, Zara stayed silent. Then she started playing along. She wandered the estate barefoot some days, muttering to herself just loud enough. She let Tasha record her breakdowns and post them subtly on social media, feeding the narrative. She's really lost it, Tasha laughed during brunch, watching her phone. This is going viral. What she didn't know was Zara's brooch was still active. The living room security camera she installed had a backdoor. The walls had ears and eyes. She collected it all. Every false whisper. Every gaslighting moment. Let them build the story. She was going to weaponize it. One evening, Chike met her by the old water tank behind the compound. "You know they call you Mad Woman now?" "I know." "You're smiling." Zara grinned. "Because soon they'll wish I really was." It happened like all great mistakes do, on livestream. Tasha, in full influencer mode, went live to over 60,000 followers while bragging about her lavish lifestyle and multiple income streams. What she didn't realize was that her phone's camera glitched just long enough to show her screen. She had opened her banking app. The account name, Zaravita Logistics Ltd. Her fingers typed, "Payment received from Shella, US 9001. Dre clipped the stream in real time. By morning, he'd dug through the metadata and traced 4 other payments linked to her. All of them wired through Zara's old platforms, co-opted, renamed, and disguised. He sent the files to Zara with a note. "Your sister-in-law is laundering money through your corpse. Might want to say hi." Zara printed the screenshots and pinned them to the inside of her wardrobe door, one by one. "You made a business out of mocking me, Tasha," she whispered. "Now I'm turning your camera into a confession booth." The invitation came via email. Okoye Consolidated's 10th anniversary gala. Venue, Eco Atlantic Ballroom. Date, 2 weeks away. Dress code, black and gold. Special guests, government officials, celebrities, shareholders. Zara stared at the screen, then closed her eyes. Perfect. She approached F that evening as he exited his home office. He looked surprised to see her in makeup and heels. "I want to come to the gala," she said. He blinked. What? After all, I was part of the original board. I deserve to see how far it's come. He smirked. You think you'll get sympathy showing up like a ghost? Zara tilted her head. Give me 5 minutes. Just to speak. Say something nice. Maybe even disappear for good afterward. He shrugged. If you want to embarrass yourself, go ahead. Thank you. She turned and walked away, hiding her smirk. Back in her room, she messaged Dre and Chike. He bit. We go live at the gala. Dre, streaming rigs ready. Uploading triggers to your pin cam. Chike, I'm printing the docs. All of them. Just in case. Zara exhaled. 2 weeks. 2 weeks until the truth would break them all. 2 days before the gala, Zara couldn't sleep. The files were ready. The timeline airtight. Dre had prepared 3 types of delivery: live stream, physical documents, and a backup dump to an anonymous blog with global syndication. All we need is you on stage, he said over a secure video call. 5 minutes. That's it. Chike had spent the last 48 hours printing copies of every incriminating file, money laundering statements, fraudulent board documents, audio transcriptions, even screenshots from Tasha's livestream and Mama F's malicious rants caught on hidden cams. Hard copy never crashes, he said with a grin, as they stuffed envelopes into an old duffel bag. We'll hand these to the press the second your speech drops. Zara practiced her delivery in the mirror each night. But it wasn't a speech. It was a controlled detonation. The gala was dripping with gold. Golden lights. Golden champagne. Golden lies. Zara walked into the ballroom wearing a simple black gown with a gold choker, and the same brooch camera that had silently watched her be humiliated weeks ago. Tasha spotted her first. Oh, look who's clawed her way in, she sneered. Zara smiled. You look expensive, Tasha. Hope you kept the receipts. F approached next, polished and smug. Don't overthink it, he whispered. 5 minutes. Be charming. Smile. Then fade away. She nodded, then turned toward the waiting stage. When she stepped up to the podium, a murmur rose. People whispered. Cameras clicked. Some guests even looked confused. Wasn't this the ex-wife? The one they said lost her mind? Zara tapped the mic. Good evening. Some of you know me. Some of you don't. But all of you should. The projector behind her flickered. First slide, a company chart. Second, a bank statement. Third, a voice recording, Mama F's voice hissing. She's not one of us. She was always just temporary. Guess. Tasha dropped her champagne. F stepped forward. Zara. She cut him off. I was erased. Light on. Branded unstable. But tonight I return the favor, with facts. The screens lit up with spreadsheets, forged documents, videos of family meetings, and silent footage of Tasha's viral slip. And then, Zara turned slightly, revealing the live-streaming pin on her chest. Say hi to the internet. The screen behind her showed a YouTube feed, live. The Okoye expose. Over 20,000 viewers and climbing. Security froze. The press stormed forward. Chike began handing out printed evidence like flyers at a rally. Then F? He stood there, a hollow statue in a tailored suit, watching his empire crumble. The fallout was instant. Tasha was the first to fall, literally and figuratively. Her past deals, her fake influencer contracts, her laundering history, all splashed across news blogs by midnight. By morning, she was trending on Twitter under hashtag Tasha the Fraud. Within hours, financial regulators showed up at her door. She screamed on camera. It's all fake. She's crazy. She edited everything. But it was too late. F's board resigned en masse. Investors pulled out. His top client, an international tech firm, publicly severed ties. Mama F collapsed during a prayer circle that had become a gossip pit. She cursed us, she cried, clutching her chest. She's a witch. The internet, however, had already crowned Zara a queen. 2 days after the gala, Zara released the final blow, a 10-minute voice compilation uploaded anonymously. It featured recorded conversations between F and Tasha, Mama F and church friends, even F's boardroom chats, casually discussing how to phase Zara out after she served her purpose. Tasha, she was always too soft. You said that. F, we needed her name. Her context. She's not a businesswoman, she's a prop. Mama F, she's not family. She was useful. That's it. The audio went viral. Suddenly, the same people who gossiped about Zara now posted threads defending her. News anchors called it a masterclass in calculated revenge. Even ex-business partners from London reached out. Dre messaged her, "You've taken the narrative. Now take the assets." F thought it was over. Then he received the letter. Zara had filed a lawsuit claiming 50% ownership of Okoye Consolidated's intellectual property, earnings accrued during their marriage, and punitive damages for fraudulent removal from the board. The evidence? Bulletproof. Signed contracts. Original co-founder documents. IP registrations. All stacked in her favor. The case hit national headlines. F went to press, playing victim. She's doing this for revenge. Zara finally gave a televised response. I'm doing this for respect. In a quiet scene that evening, Zara stood at her mother's grave again, a legal document in hand. Chaik waited a few feet behind, silently holding flowers. They took everything from me, she whispered. But they didn't take my name. She placed the court petition on the tombstone. Justice starts here. Zara's lawyer was just leaving her new temporary office, 2 rooms above a local printing shop, when she received an unexpected call. Not from the court. Not from Dre. But from her. Ivy. F's new fiancée. The same woman who had watched Zara be humiliated at the banquet. The one who smiled, nodded, and played her role. Her voice now? Ice cold. Measured. I need to speak with you. In person. They met at a cafe in a quiet part of town. Ivy wore sunglasses and a hoodie, clearly afraid to be seen. Zara waited for her to speak first. I was part of it, Ivy whispered. Not from the beginning. But I saw things. She slid a USB drive across the table. Emails. Board messages. F bragging about how he used you to seed the company. Zara raised an eyebrow. Why are you giving me this? Because I was next. He's done this before. You just didn't know it. And he's not stopping. You're engaged to him. Not anymore, Ivy said, standing up. Consider this my escape fee. As she left, Zara looked down at the drive. The bonus. A confession. A grenade. One she was more than happy to throw. They called her crazy. Now they called her first. Channels TV. Arise News. CNN Africa. BBC Pidgin. But it was a Nigerian lifestyle show called The Real Rebuild that got the exclusive. She wore a simple Ankara blouse. No jewelry. Just her story. The anchor leaned forward and asked, how did it feel when they took everything? Zara smiled. I wasn't angry. I was disappointed. I gave them gold and they returned sand. But that's okay. You can still build palaces from sand, if you know how to mold it. The final quote of the interview went viral. They called me trash. But I own the landfill. And I decide who dumps here. Within hours, her interview had over 1 million views. Brands reached out. Young women messaged her. Entrepreneurs asked for mentorship. She didn't just reclaim her name. She made it a brand. Zara knew symbolism mattered. So, instead of launching a new business in Victoria Island or Lekki like everyone expected, she chose the one place they tried to bury her. Her old neighborhood. The tech hub opened on a bright Saturday morning, painted in bold green and gold. The sign read, Zara Vida Rising. Inside, local youth got trained in digital marketing, coding, forensic tech. Chaik was the first full-time hire. Dre managed it remotely. The project was fully funded by settlements from F's crumbling empire. Mama F drove by once in a tinted car and saw the crowd outside the gate. She didn't get out. Zara didn't wave. Instead, she stood in front of the media and announced, "This isn't revenge. This is return on investment. They didn't want me in their house. So I built my own. The crowd roared. It was poetic. After months of legal battles, unpaid taxes, and frozen accounts, the Okoye family mansion was seized by the government and scheduled for auction. Zara tended in a white jumpsuit and red heels. She didn't bid until the final call. When she raised her hand and named her price, no one challenged it. Sold. To the woman they mocked. Reporters surrounded her as she stood at the mansion gates once more. "This place tried to break me," she said, touching the iron fence. "But a cage is still just steel, until you turn it into scaffolding." Mama F watched from the shadows across the street. F didn't show up. Neither did Tasha. The house now belonged to Zara Okoye. Not as a bride. Not as a guest. But as the new matriarch. 3 months later, a grand launch event took place on the front lawn of the former Okoye estate. The mansion had been renovated, repainted, and repurposed. It now housed the Zara Okoye Foundation, a center for female founders, tech apprenticeships, and ethical business development. Press, influencers, and former critics all gathered. Zara stood beneath a golden archway, her story etched into the pathway beneath her feet. When asked if she had any final words for the people who doubted her, she stepped to the mic, smiled at the cameras, and said, "Sometimes, being broken is the beginning of becoming bulletproof." The crowd erupted. Flashbulbs popped. And behind her, the doors opened, not just to a house, but to a future she'd built with her own pain. Not in spite of what they did to her, but because of it. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell for newly created content.